My name's Troy, I'm 36, and up until recently, I thought my marriage was stable. Not passionate, not electric, not perfect, but stable, predictable, safe. Turns out, predictable can also mean you're being slowly erased without noticing. Dana and I have been married for 9 years. No kids. We were waiting for the right time, which, in hindsight, sounds like we were lying to ourselves for the past 6. She's 35, sharp-minded, organized, always the one with a plan. She's a project manager by trade, and apparently by nature too, because one night she sat me down and handed me a new schedule for our intimacy. I'm not exaggerating, a literal schedule. It was a Thursday night, around 8:45 p.m. I had just finished cleaning up after dinner. She cooked, I cleaned, like always, and I was hoping we could finally have some time together. Something had been off for months, maybe years, but I was clinging to whatever small connection we still had. So I walked into the living room. She was on her laptop, legs folded, blanket over her knees like always. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual but warm. "You got a minute?" She didn't look up, just said, "What's up?" Eyes still on the screen. I miss us. It's been a while. I was hoping maybe we could, reconnect tonight." She paused, slowly closed the laptop, looked at me like I had asked to borrow her car for a road trip with my ex. "Troy, I'm tired," she said. "And I already told you, I just don't have the same drive lately." I nodded. I'd heard that one before. "I get that," I said. "But it's been, almost 2 months? I'm not trying to pressure you, Dana, but this doesn't feel right. We're married, and I feel like I'm living with a roommate." That's when she sighed. One of those deep, rehearsed sighs that says, "I've been waiting to say this." She reached into the side table drawer and pulled out a printed sheet. Folded in half, she handed it to me. And there it was. A table. A literal table with dates. 1 day per month highlighted. She even color-coded it. "What the hell is this?" I asked, eyebrows raised. "This is my compromise," she said flatly. "Once a month, that's what I can offer. I chose the 14th. It's neutral, not connected to birthdays or holidays. You get 1 guaranteed night, no arguments, no pressure. That's all I have in me right now." I stared at her, waiting for the joke. It didn't come. "Dana, you're serious?" "Yes," she said, folding her arms. "I need boundaries. This is mine." "Once a month," I repeated, feeling like I had just been demoted. "I don't even get to initiate. I just show up like a dentist appointment?" "You wanted predictability, Troy. Here it is." That night, I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I went out for a walk and ended up sitting in my car for an hour, trying to process the fact that my wife had turned our marriage into a subscription plan. 1 night a month, pre-scheduled, like garbage day. And the worst part? I actually considered it. I looked at the calendar she made and thought, okay, maybe it's a phase, maybe if I play along she'll come back around. But I did come up with a plan of my own. The next morning, I made myself a cup of coffee, sat across from her at the kitchen table, and slid a sticky note toward her. It said, "Husband duties, 14th, other days, unavailable." She glanced at it, smirked. "Cute," she said. "Just mirroring your energy," I replied. "So you're gonna act like a bachelor 29 days a month?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm just not going to pretend I'm part of a marriage that only exists 3% of the time." She rolled her eyes and went back to her laptop. That was the beginning. I started coming home late. I haven't been with women. That's not who I am. I went to the gym more often, hung out with my old high school buddies, played poker, took weekend trips with the guys. When she asked where I was going, I'd just say, "Is it the 14th?" She hated it. At first, she brushed it off. Then she started texting more, passive-aggressive stuff like, "Must be nice to live your best life while your wife eats dinner alone. You forgot to take the trash out, but I guess that's not in your contract." To which I replied, Schedule a chore day. I'll check my availability. Petty? Maybe. But so was a printed calendar for scheduled affection. Soon, the 14th started to feel like a war zone. We'd both try, half-heartedly, to make the most of the day, but the tension was so thick we barely touched. Once she lit candles. I laughed and asked if we were filming a commercial for fake intimacy. She didn't take that well. Another time, I brought flowers and she said, "This isn't Valentine's Day, this is maintenance night." Yeah. You can imagine how that one ended. There's something weird about only being a husband one day a month. At first, it felt like freedom. I could breathe again. I had space, time, autonomy. I wasn't walking on eggshells anymore, hoping Dana might decide I was worthy of a good mood, a kind word, or even a hand on my shoulder. But it didn't take long for the freedom to feel like exile. Our home turned into a waiting room. I'd come in, shower, eat something, maybe wash a shirt, and leave. I barely saw her. And when I did, when we crossed paths in the kitchen or living room, we acted like polite co-workers. No eye contact, no warmth, just flat voices and clipped answers. Groceries came in? Yeah, I put your yogurt in the fridge. Thanks. That was the whole conversation. On the 14th of the next month, I came home early. I thought maybe, she'd softened. I brought wine, her favorite chocolate, and rented that artsy indie movie she always talked about but never watched. She opened the door wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. No makeup, no effort, not even a smile. "You're early," she said, glancing at the clock like I was a delivery guy who showed up out of slot. "Thought we could have dinner," I said. "I already ate." I stood there, holding a bottle of Cabernet and a dumb, hopeful grin. I must have looked like the world's most desperate fool. "I'll open this anyway," I mumbled, walking past her. We watched the movie. Sort of. She scrolled on her phone through the first half, then went to bed early, claiming she had a virtual wellness seminar in the morning. No affection, no connection, nothing. The next month, same story. And the next? We didn't even try. She texted me that afternoon. "Still not feeling great. Let's skip this month." No apology, no emotion, just a skipped marriage day. I didn't reply. That night I stayed over at my friend Drew's place. We had drinks on his patio, talking about nothing and everything. At one point, he looked at me and said, "Man, are you okay? You've been different." "Define different," I said. "I don't know. Detached, like you're watching your own life from a distance." He wasn't wrong. A few days later, I came home to grab some clothes before work. Dana was on the phone in the kitchen. She didn't hear me come in. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I stopped cold when I heard the tone of her voice. It was soft, playful, familiar in a way I hadn't heard in years. "No, I told you. He barely comes home. It's not a problem." Pause, light laugh. "You're bad. I swear. Stop. I'm in the kitchen. He might walk in any..." That's when she saw me standing there. Eyes wide, phone fumbled, instant switch. "Gotta go. Bye," she said sharply, and shoved the phone in her pocket. "Morning," I said, voice flat. "Hey, you're back early. I live here, remember? Just wasn't expecting you." She looked like she wanted to vanish. Her hand trembled slightly on the coffee cup. "Who was that?" I asked. "Nobody. You sounded like you were having fun with nobody." "Troy, don't start." She brushed past me and went to the bedroom. That was it. Conversation over. And just like that, the tiny spark of doubt that had been flickering in my chest, it turned into something else. A suspicion. A gut feeling I couldn't unfeel. I started noticing more things. She started wearing perfume again, but only when I wasn't home. New underwear. Her phone glued to her side like it contained state secrets. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't jealous. I was observant. And now I was seeing everything with painful clarity. The once-a-month marriage was a shield, a cover, a way to keep me close enough to avoid suspicion. but far enough to do whatever the hell she wanted. And here's the part that really twisted the knife. I didn't even feel betrayed yet. Not really. I just felt dismissed. Like I had become optional. Not cheated on, just forgotten. They say the gut knows before the brain is ready to catch up. I used to laugh at stuff like that. Thought it was just another cliche people say to justify paranoia. But now, I knew something was wrong. I could feel it in the way she closed her laptop when I walked in. In the way her smile, when it appeared, had nothing behind it. Like someone miming affection, hoping no one would notice the hollowness. So I started paying attention. I didn't break into her phone. I didn't install spyware or put a tracker on her car. I still had a line I wasn't willing to cross. Not yet. But I watched closely. She suddenly became obsessed with fitness. Not a bad thing on its own. I supported it. I even used to encourage her to join me at the gym. She always said it wasn't her thing. Now she was going 5 times a week. At night. With a different water bottle, new yoga pants, and her phone always on silent. She started working late on Fridays. Problem is, Dana works remotely. Her meetings are all scheduled. I know her calendar. So why did she need to stay online after 7 p.m. with full makeup and a push-up bra? I noticed the seat in her car was adjusted. She's shorter than me, and it was moved way back. That one hit differently. A few weeks later, I had a day off from work. Dana didn't know. I kept it quiet. She left for Pilates and errands, and I stayed in, sitting on the couch, drinking lukewarm coffee, staring at the wall. Then I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and opened the top drawer of her nightstand. Not proud of it, but I wasn't here to feel proud. Inside, I found a little zip bag. Nothing dramatic. Lip balm, spare keys, random receipts. One of them caught my eye. A printout. Coffee bar receipt from a Tuesday at 2:13 p.m. 2 cappuccinos, 1 slice of cake, and a line that read, "See you next week." Cute. Friendly. Not something you write to yourself. That night, I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I was afraid of what I might say, or what she might lie about. Instead, I sat across from her at the kitchen island, watching her scroll her phone, sipping wine like she lived in a different house, or maybe with a different man entirely. "You going to the gym again tonight?" I asked. "Yeah, hot yoga weird. You don't look like you're dressed for yoga." "I change in the car." "Right." She raised an eyebrow. "What's your problem?" "Just curious if hot yoga is the guy's name or the workout." "Excuse me?" "Forget it. I'm tired." That night, she didn't come home until after 11. I was still awake, lights off, sitting in the dark, listening to her tiptoe past the hallway like a teenager sneaking in. She didn't say a word, just went straight to bed. I looked at my phone. It was the 14th. Our day. Neither of us even mentioned it. The next morning, I got up early, earlier than usual, made coffee, sat at the table and wrote something on a yellow notepad, folded it once and slid it into her laptop bag. It read, "One of us is pretending this is still a marriage, and it's not me." She never mentioned it. Not once. Later that week, I decided to do something I'd been putting off for months. I opened our old shared laptop, the one we used before she bought her sleek silver MacBook that never leaves her side now. It hadn't been touched in ages. I charged it, logged in, and started digging. Most of the files were old tax documents, travel itineraries, half-written grocery lists. But one folder caught my eye. Backup SMS 2023. It had been automatically synced from her phone long ago, before she switched operating systems. Inside were dozens of chat threads. One of them was with a contact named LW. Messages dated 8 months back. "You really know how to ruin my gym concentration. Still can't believe you made me laugh in front of the instructor. You coming next week? I'll save you a mat. Can't stop thinking about last Thursday. You're dangerous." Last Thursday. That was our day that month. The day she said she had cramps. The day she said, "Rain check?" I closed the laptop. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. Just silence. And then one clear thought. I'm done. You'd think I'd explode, yell, throw something, pack a suitcase and storm out in a scene worthy of a movie. But that's not what happened. The betrayal didn't hit like a punch. It settled in like dust, quiet, slow, inescapable. It was almost peaceful, knowing. Like finally hearing the end of a song you didn't realize had been playing in the background for years. That weekend, Dana asked if I wanted to have dinner together. It was the first time she'd asked in months. Dinner? I repeated. Yeah, she said, brushing her hair behind her ear like it was no big deal. It's been a while. Thought we could reset. Reset. Sure, I said. Why not? We went to one of those sleek farm-to-table places she liked. Trendy lighting, overpriced wine, food arranged like a Pinterest board. I wore a plain black shirt. She wore lipstick for the first time in months. The whole evening felt like a dress rehearsal for a marriage that already died. We talked about safe things, work, the weather, how noisy the neighbors were getting. At one point, she reached across the table and touched my hand. I know things haven't been great, she said, voice low. But I think we can fix it. Really, I said. How? We just need to communicate better, and maybe compromise again. I smiled politely. Is that what LW suggested? Her face froze. The silence that followed was loud enough to kill a room full of music. What? She asked, voice already defensive. You heard me? I said, calmly lifting my wine glass. Thursday yoga, cappuccinos, the backup file on the old laptop. I read it all. You had no right. Sure I didn't. But I also didn't schedule our marriage like a dentist appointment, so I guess we're even. She didn't speak, just stared at me with wide, terrified eyes, not because she felt guilty, but because she realized she'd lost control of the narrative. How long? I asked. She looked down, bit her lip. Classic move. No words. Was he the reason for the schedule? I continued. Or did the schedule make room for him? She finally whispered, I didn't mean for it to happen. You mean for it to last, I corrected. That's what you meant. We drove home in silence. She cried in the passenger seat. I didn't comfort her. The next morning, I packed a bag. Just the essentials. I didn't leave a note. I didn't slam the door. I just grabbed my keys, opened the door, and paused long enough to say, You said once a month. You got it. You'll get the rest of me once and never. She chased after me in her robe, begging, half sobbing, asking to talk. I didn't look back. A week later, I filed for divorce. I sent her the papers on the 14th. Felt fitting. She called me. I didn't answer. She texted, We can fix this. Please talk to me. I replied, There's nothing left to fix. You picked your schedule. Now I'm picking mine. People ask what happened between Dana and me. Not all at once, of course. It comes in pieces. A glance, a pause, a hesitant question when someone notices I stopped wearing my ring or when I dodge a, How's Dana? With a vague shrug. Friends, family, even the lady at the dry cleaner who used to see us come in together and now only sees me. They all want a story, a clean cause and effect, an affair, a fight, a betrayal they can point at and say, That's where it broke. But it didn't break in a single moment. It cracked, softly and consistently over time, like a floorboard bending under quiet pressure, until one day it simply gave out beneath me. When people ask what happened, I usually say something simple. We stopped being married every day. She wanted it once a month. It sounds glib, but it's not bitterness. It's clarity. What do you call a marriage where affection is rationed and communication is timed like business meetings? Where you're given a single night a month to pretend everything is fine, and the rest of the time you're treated like background noise? You don't call that love. You call that management. I think the worst part wasn't the infidelity. Don't get me wrong. Finding those messages with LW was a punch in the gut. But it wasn't a surprise. By the time I read them, I had already buried the version of Dana I fell in love with. The real betrayal came long before the texts. It came when she handed me a printed intimacy schedule like it was a PTO request form. It came in the quiet, in the way she looked through me when I walked into a room, in the way she rolled her eyes when I asked if we were okay. I tried. I really did. I stayed kind, patient. I brought flowers, planned nights, cooked her favorite meals. I smiled when I didn't feel like it, kept the peace when I wanted to scream, and carried the weight of silence hoping it would become music again. But you can't duet with someone who's already singing for someone else. I remember one night, shortly after she first gave me the new rules, we sat in the same room for 3 hours and said fewer than 10 words to each other. I counted. 10 words, 3 hours, 2 people, 1 marriage dying quietly in the corner. After the divorce, she cried, kept trying to explain things in vague emotional terms. I was lost. I felt disconnected. I didn't know how to reach you. She kept saying we drifted apart, we lost touch, we stopped trying, even though I was the one still reaching out while she was reaching under someone else's gym towel. But I didn't argue. I didn't need to. Let her believe her version. I've got mine, and mine comes with peace. Now I had small apartment, nothing fancy. A mattress on the floor, no TV at first, just silence. For the first time in years, no tension humming under my skin when I walked through the door. No pretending to be someone acceptable for someone who stopped appreciating me. And you know what? Silence is loud at first, but it's honest. There's no calendar, no conditional affection, no maybe next month promises, just me. Now, I wake up when I want. I make my own coffee, strong and bitter, just the way I like it. I read again, I play guitar some nights. I go out with friends and don't have to send a text saying, I'll be home late, don't wait up, because no one's waiting anymore. And weirdly, that's a relief. I'm not rebuilding my life. I'm reclaiming it, one day at a time. A few weeks ago, Dana called. I let it ring once before picking up. I was curious, not hopeful, just curious. I miss talking to you, she said. I've been thinking about us, about how we used to be. I didn't answer right away. There was a pause on the line. Then she asked, do you ever miss it? Miss me? I thought about it, about the early years, the road trips, the late-night pancakes, the way she used to laugh with her whole face. Then I thought about color-coded calendars and someone else's name in her texts. Yeah, I said. Sometimes I miss the idea of you, but the real you, the one who made me feel like a chore? I paused, then added, I only miss you once a month, but lucky for me, today's not the 14th. And I hung up. That was the last time we spoke. If there's a lesson in all this, it's not dramatic. Don't let anyone put a price tag on your presence. Don't accept rationed love like it's the best you can get. And never, ever let someone schedule your worth. Because love, real love, it doesn't come once a month. It shows up daily, even when it's messy, tired, or scared. And so do the people who truly care.